My name is Keith, aka LoLByTheNumbers, and welcome to another 2014 League of Legends World Championship video analysis. Once again, this is a video analysis, not a shoutcast, so I'm assuming that you've seen the match, know who wins, or don't care about spoilers, as they will be coming throughout the game. I will be looking primarily at macro level strategy, focusing on team compositions, their win conditions, what teams do, don't, and should do to pull off the wins. I'll also be taking a look at individual matchups, item builds, and individual plays when it's apparent that one of these three things are a key reason why a game is won or lost. Aside from that, like I said, macro level strategy, map movements, team compositions will be my main focus. This game we have Cloud9 versus Alliance. This is their first match in group stages, and without further ado, let us go ahead and get into picks and bans. On Cloud9's side, we see Ryze, Lee Sin, Maokai being banned out. What this does for them is it allows them to say Rumble's up, we can pick this on balls. We know Wicked doesn't really play it, so they've kind of denied Wicked two champions and already planning to go for Rumble on on balls in the top lane. The ban against Lee Sin is also a denial to Shook. Because Cloud9 have first pick, it means that they do get this Kha'Zix, essentially the number 2 jungler in Worlds right now. On Alliance side, we see some pretty generic bans. We see Tristana being banned because she's just been popular so far, even though she falls out of favor very heavily later on. Alistar and Zilean are very generic bans. High does play Zilean at one point during the group stages. I don't think he plays it particularly well. I don't think it was a necessary ban. It's a bit of a waste, but nonetheless, very standard bans in Alistar and Zilean. From their their first round of picks on Alliance side, we see them picking up Elise and Kog'Maw. Picking up Elise just kind of allows Alliance to hold on to their later picks for counterpicking. Same thing with picking their ADC. They're just picking something pretty solid and generic. I mean, they know that Sneaky does like to play Kog'Maw at times. He's played it several times before. And Kog'Maw is really the other hyper scaling carry from the ADC role, with Tristana being banned out. Excuse me. Cloud9's side, we all see Lucian and Rumble being picked up next. This was Cloud9's plan from the start with their picks and bans to pick Rumble top. And it was pretty obvious that they were going to give it to Balls and have him pick it almost no matter what Alliance picked in the top lane. So this is kind of a free pick for them, as they really weren't looking for a counter pick on the top lane. The Lucian pickup is also really solid. He's a real strong lane bully at the time. He's very strong at all stages of the game. And it also allows Cloud9 to hold on to more important picks for later. On Alliance side, we will see Nami and Kayle being picked up. I don't particularly think this Kayle pickup was very good. Kayle doesn't do so well against Rumble. They're pretty even, and Kayle is able to use his intervention to block out a lot of Rumble's ultimate damage, but Rumble provides much more all-in potential in fights, and it provides more in the mid-game as well as more teamfight potential than Kayle. Kayle will eventually outscale him, but it takes quite a while, especially with how strong Rumble is in the 5v5 teamfight area of the game. The Nami pickup is really good. Having seen Kha'Zix, Lucian, and Rumble, you're kind of looking at what's potentially an engaged composition from Cloud9. This means that the Nami pickup is really intelligent. It provides them with great disengage, as well as being a really strong champion to use with Kog'Maw. From Cloud9's side, we'll now see Syndra and Janna being picked up. Syndra being one of High's strongest champions. It's also a very safe pickup as well. You have pick potential, burst potential, wave clear. You have several options, and they can be facilitated by your build on Syndra kind of playstyle you're going for. The Janet pickup is also very strong with Lucian, provides great extra bonus damage on his skills, as well as providing some good disengaging protection. What we kind of end up here from Cloud9's team is a pseudo long-range disengage pick comp. They have a very strong 5v5 fight. They have a lot of mid-game power, and that's what we will see them look to take their lead. On Alliance's side, this last pickup is going to be Xerath. This is actually a really good pickup in this matchup, and I feel like Alliance have come out with the better team. They don't end up playing it entirely properly inside of the game, and that's the problem. However, they have crafted a nice, strong composition. So with this Xerath pickup, let's take a look at Alliance's team. Kog'Maw and Xerath have really strong range. Nami provides great disengage. They're running a sort of pseudo 5-man ranged composition, with Kayle able to have range when his E is up, and eventually he can have it up at all times. Elise in human form is also ranged. This gives them great potential to getting some poke and some poke shots out onto C9's turrets. With the range of Xerath and Kog'Maw, there's also great poke under turret. Cloud9 do not have any sustain, whereas Alliance have sustain, so they can sit through the poke of Kha'Zix and Syndra a lot better than Cloud9 can deal with Alliance's poke. They also have Nami for the disengage. When you're looking at Cloud9's team, there's really only one way for Cloud9 to engage. And when there's only one engage on an enemy team and you have a very strong disengage in Nami, all you do is you wait for that engage to come out of Cloud9 and then throw the tidal wave and back up. And once the disengage is gone, push forward again and continue to siege the turrets. Xerath outranges Syndra, Kog'Maw outranges her as well. There's just plenty of poke and siege in Alliance's team, and I think they've just drafted better. The engagement on Cloud9's team is the Rumble ultimate, and it's a fairly easy one to see. As soon as Rumble throws out his ultimate, Nami just needs to toss her tidal wave down the lane, blocking out the rest of C9's team from following up, and then just back up and wait. So this is Alliance's team composition. It's a very heavy siege-focused composition. And there's several ways to really bring this composition into effect, and I'll talk about that after I talk about C9's composition. C9 have drafted a composition that kind of says win lane, win game, and win 5v5 team fights. C9's composition is going to be all about dragon control, especially the second and third dragons are going to be very important when C9's team has all their team fight ultimates up. The strength, Janna, Lucian, and Rumble are really strong in this early mid game, as well as Syndra having great potential for that long range stun and burst damage from her ultimate. There's just a lot of power sitting in C9's team. So what they want to do is they want to find a good trade early on, and we'll see them in this game going for the 2v1 lanes top. And while this doesn't speak well necessarily for the matchups, because C9 have a stronger bottom lane, this does move into the strategic value of C9's play. By going for the 2v1 top, C9 will end up taking top turret fairly quickly. This opens up opportunities for them later on in the match, particularly in the second and third dragon. By taking the 2v1 top, Alliance is going for will go for the dragon trade, and so the dragon comes out fairly early. Because the early dragon goes down, this means the second dragon is going to be delayed right until about the point Cloud9 want. When Cloud9 hit their level 6, level 7 power spikes, that'll be when the second dragon spawns, allowing them perfect timing on it. If, let's say, C9 didn't fast push the turret, Alliance maybe take the dragon at the 8-minute mark, and this delays the mid-game power of C9. Instead of being able to take the second dragon at the level 6 or 7 mark, now all of a sudden it's the level 9 or 10 mark. So while they do opt into not bullying the Kog'Maw in the bottom lane, they are opting into a well-planned second dragon. So this is something to really take note. It's a real nice plan that Cloud9 are looking 5-6 minutes ahead. So if Cloud9 moves into the second dragon, they take it, they start generating a gold advantage. Then they should pull back out to their lanes and try and avoid the 5v5. Look for opportunities for the lanes to win in their own right. This will give time for Kha'Zix to get an item or two to be stronger than Elise, and this will allow C9 to sort of continue to stall out the game until the level 11 point when Rumble is probably at its strongest. Once that third dragon comes out, C9 want to focus on that third dragon, make sure that they're able to get it, use this dragon to snowball greater gold advantage, and then start pressuring turrets after this third dragon. That'll be the time when C9 should be the strongest against Alliance's team, and would be a great point for them to start snowballing a lead, assuming they have already got one. I want to make a note of this 2v1 swap and how Alliance could have played it better, and how they could have generated themselves the gold advantage and map pressure they needed to snowball their team into a nice siege poke at around the level 6 or 7, maybe even wait till level 9 to really move into it. And that's in this 2v1 lane swap. Alliance had the opportunity when Kayle and Elise were at the double golems to have pushed this bottom turret really hard. They could have sent their 4-man squad bottom, taken out this bottom turret, made the trade with C9. C9's taking that turret up top with 4 people, and then they could have backed off and taken this dragon as well. Alternately, as soon as this dragon is down, they can move 4 men to the bottom. Kog'Maw could have been prepping the wave so that as soon as dragon was done, they can have 4 men at this bottom turret. There was an opportunity for Alliance to trade a 2v1 in 2-for-1 objectives instead of just taking the dragon objective. And this would have really moved into Alliance's advantage. Particularly because when you're running a siege poke composition, the more turrets you can take down before you move into the siege portion of your gameplay, the better. Siege and poke takes a long time. Generally, you're spending anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes at a turret to get it down. That way, if you've already taken down a turret before you transition into this through a lane swap, it gives you less targets to have to worry about. It allows you to put pressure quicker onto the enemy team. So let's say that Alliance had done this. Now they move Kog'Maw and Nami to the top lane. Even though they are a little unsafe, they do have level advantage over Rumble. They could have thrown Kayle into the bot lane or just kept the jungle. They could have gone 4-man again to the top. I wouldn't necessarily have suggested that. I would have suggested sending Kayle to the bottom lane, letting him kind of survive there on his own, hit up a couple wards to watch out for Kha'Zix coming in for the gank, and then had Elise stay top to protect Kog'Maw and Nami while they push into the top turret and take it down. If Alliance had been able to take down the top outer turret, this only leaves up the middle, and once Kog'Maw hits level 6, then the entire Alliance team can move into that middle turret and pressure it before Syndra gets up enough AP to solidly wave clear. This could have given Alliance 3 turrets, potentially 3 turrets and a dragon, or for the trade of 1 turret or 2 turrets. It's all speculative, and it's no guarantee that it would play out that way, but it is a good opportunity for Alliance to try and accelerate their siege composition. Any acceleration that Alliance can do for this siege composition is also going to work in their favor, because their team is much better in the late game than C9 as well. So you're just kind of removing time from your mid-game lull. The other big power spike point for Alliance's team is going to be when Kog'Maw gets his Trinity Force. Right now, since they haven't done the fast push, they just need to simply wait until Kog'Maw hits this Trinity Force power spike. As soon as Kog'Maw hits his Trinity Force, Alliance should be looking to move into their siege composition and moving into it as fast as possible after that. If Dragon is up at that point, Alliance need to just look for poke, get some good wards, let Xerath and Kog'Maw whittle down C9's team, but do not engage. Make sure you have quick, easy escape routes and you're not going to get locked down in a corridor by Rumble's ultimate. Alternately, instead of fighting for that second dragon, Alliance can throw their entire team at the mid turret and trade the mid turret for the second dragon. And so those are Alliance's options, and they're the ones who kind of need to make the plan and make the plays, because C9 strategy is really solid in this mid game. Take dragons, snowball into a lead. So that's your team compositions, that's their win conditions. If Alliance are able to start poking and sieging, they can force C9 to have to react, to have to sit on the turret. This gives a lot of power. And one thing I always like to state about siege poke compositions is even if you have 4 or 5 people poking and sieging at a turret, you're still drawing in the members of the other team and denying them gold as well. And then instead of generating your gold lead through creep score and lane dominance, you generate a gold lead by taking objectives. It's not nearly as much of a gold lead, but like I said, its point is denying the other team gold while giving yourself some gold. So now we're just kind of waiting for the second dragon when things will start to change. The lanes are going really even. Since C9 opted in the 2v1, it means that they didn't gain their advantage on bot lane, so now bot lane is just running fairly even. And to talk about how this would have worked out, in the 2v2 matchup, Kog'Maw's generally going to grab his W first. This means it's going to take him 2 or 3 hits onto Janna's shield to break it, meaning Lucian has an easy way to walk into Kog'Maw, hit him with a Q, hit him with the double shot passive, and then just back out. It won't take much return damage, and we'll get a nice solid burst at level 1 against Kog'Maw. This can continue at level 2 because it will allow Lucian and Janna to take the level 2 advantage. Then Lucian could either grab his W or his Q, or grab his W or his dash, and once again go in for the trade damage on Kog'Maw. As the lane progresses in the bot lane, it becomes much harder for Lucian and Janna. You get a lot of sustain out of Nami. Kog'Maw's able to trade a lot better. Once Kog'Maw hits 6, he has all the poke potential. One thing that C9 can do is, as soon as they come into lane with, say, the BF Sword or the Pickaxe at level 6, Lucian can just walk up to Kog'Maw with Janna's shield, use his burst, use his ultimate, and try and push Kog'Maw out of lane right away. Sometimes it catches a lot of people off guard with the amount of damage it does with the power it has, and so this is one option when you're running Lucian into a sustained support. And here we see the second dragon, and like I said, this is timed perfectly with Rumble, with everyone being around level 7, Syndra's level 9. There's plenty of power on C9's side, and they're right there. This goes straight back to them planning on this from the level 1. They were looking 10 minutes ahead into this game, and they got their objective. So now they've generated themselves a lead. Essentially, they traded the top turret in the early game they traded one dragon in the early game for top turret and second dragon. So while it does at first seem that C9 were doing the 1-for-1 trade, they were really doing a 2-for-1 trade. So Alliance have kind of missed out on an opportunity with the second dragon, partially just due to timing and warding. They could have been poking them out with Kog'Maw and with Xerath, but they missed the opportunity. I'm not sure that they knew C9 had the timer for dragons so spot on. So one thing I want to point out is Elise. Elise makes a lot of bad choices in this matchup. One of them being, I think, picking Elise. I would have liked to see a stronger jungler coming out. Almost, I know we don't have Lee Sin. It's been banned out, so that just kind of doesn't leave many options, but we could have had some unique choices coming from Alliance's side. Jarvan would have been good, offering decent amount of attack speed for his team. It wouldn't really have provided disengage, though. So we're actually kind of not having a lot of choices. Perhaps something like Rammus would have been really strong here. He could have provided a decent front line, sort of ran interference for Alliance's team while they're trying to siege and poke, rather than providing the CC. So there's not a lot of ability to chain Xera's. Xera's stun is kind of slow, makes it pretty hard to get it off even after hitting Elise Cocoon. Nami Bubble as well is a little difficult. Everything has to be timed really well on Alliance's side to make these CCs hit. The Sightstone is also a pickup that I dislike. If you're going to pick up Sightstone as a jungler, you really kind of either need to be Lee Sin, so it becomes a playmaking tool, or use your Sightstone when your team is already ahead. Sightstone on your jungler is much better as an offensive utility. Offensive ability, using the sight to sort of take complete vision control of the area of attack. And it does work in siege poke compositions because you have the extra wards to completely look for the engage of the other team. In this situation, the engage is going to come from Rumble. It's kind of fairly straight up. You're not looking for somebody sneaking around on the side. Going for more combat-oriented stats would be better, especially delaying your Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. You're losing out on a lot of gold generation. So it's just an unfortunate build path for Elise. Instead of the Sightstone, she also just could have started rushing Aegis, and that would have been really strong against Rumble and against Syndra. It would also really help out their siege composition in terms of safety. What we do end up seeing from Elise in this matchup is she doesn't finish a single item except for Merc Treads. You see here halfway build to a couple different items, including Glacial Shroud. I don't know, Glacial Shroud is going to be a bad pickup in this matchup, particularly because Lucian doesn't rely on attack speed more so than getting his auto attacks off and weaving in his passive between his skills. So attack speed slows aren't as effective against Lucian. And when he's using his ultimate, it's usually not close enough for Frozen Heart to matter. He's doing it from a long range. So you also lose out on this by picking it up. So going Glacial Shroud, looking to go Frozen Heart after that just doesn't work out. So right now, third dragon is coming up, and C9 have done a good job of drawing this out. Alliance really should have moved into their siege poke composition by now. C9 is going to generate another little bit of lead to give themselves an advantage when this next dragon comes out. And this is what C9's composition is built to do. Fight at these dragons, use this early game power to get the gold advantage. So Alliance are kind of playing into C9's hands. And you actually see this a lot when teams build these siege comps, especially throughout Worlds. We see it several times, is they take a long time to actually move into the siege portion of it. They delay a lot of time spending it in lane. We don't see them move into these group siege situations until like 20-24 minute marks. And it's unfortunate because there's, even without items, there's a lot of power in these siege poke compositions. And the longer they wait, the more wave clear the other team gets. And as we know, wave clear is very important against siege poke compositions. The more stronger wave clear you have, the longer you can deny them taking down your turret. So this is why I think siege poke compositions should really be starting a lot earlier. Start as soon as the level 6s come into play, as soon as maybe first item or even half items come into play. Those are really the strongest points in time for them. Imagine if Kog'Maw and Xerath had gone middle for sieging with their team around, say, the 12-minute mark. Syndra would have taken 2 or 3 spell rotations to take out the creep wave. And then Kog'Maw could have activated his W, got a couple shots off. Xerath and Nami, at least, they also all could have hit. The only thing they're really having to worry about is Syndra stun, and even if one of them gets Syndra stunned, Kayle can have been there for the intervention. They would have had full control, and we see it coming up here, even though they're just fighting off Rumble. There was the potential there for them to take the turret. Because they're going top against a T2 turret, C9 are able to rotate mid and get heavy damage onto the turret. This is really Alliance just not playing properly, and here we see Shook make a big overplay. When the Nami ultimate missed, Shook never should have gone in. He flashed into 4 people with his teammates far behind, with no real ability to follow him up. So this is just a nerves mistake, but it does end up costing Alliance. Now I want to make a note as this game is progressing onto the very low kill score of this game. I think we end the score at 8-2, and by the time C9 take an inhibitor, the score is only like 3-1, 4-1. It's very low kills, and here's what we don't often see in any other region than North America and Europe, is these compositions where objectives are the focus rather than kills. This is something where this is one thing in which I think North America and Europe have the advantage over other regions. We just don't see North America and Europe really playing this style too often against other regions, because they feel they have to beat the other regions at their own game rather than playing their own game, than playing North America and Europe's own game. So this game we'll see this low kill score, high objective count game. So C9 they're in the lead everywhere. They've taken 3 turrets, 2 dragons. They got 1 kill. We do see some good play by Xerath here. Very cheeky. Also with Syndra backing right here, she thinks she's safe, but there's the ward. Always back up, just be safer. There's no reason for her to be backing there instead of just keep scooting back farther. Once again, pointing to Elisa's build, she's grabbed the Glacial Shroud. Not sure why, especially against Syndra, against Rumble. And when she's the only front line, she should be building towards that Aegis. She finishes Merc Treads when the only CC on C9's side is the stun from Syndra, so you're not getting much potential out of it. If you wanted the magic resist, once again, it could be better spent moving towards Aegis. It's just a lot of bad choices in terms of items from her. On C9's side, we do see some good choices. Rumble's going for an early Negatron Cloak as soon as he's finished his core items, Leandri's and Slurp Boots. This is great against Alliance's team. We do see 5 sources of magic damage actually. Kog'Maw doing a decent amount, especially in his poke. And then Elise, Kayle, Nami, and Xerath. So this is a really good choice made by them. I'm not sure about Syndra picking up the Void Staff in this situation. I mean, it ends up working fine. It's a good choice, but I think if you're going to go at Themes, it's probably better for you to go Death Cap. This provides greater control over the waves, as well as more consistent damage across your skills. And there's still not a lot of magic resist coming into Alliance's side. However, it's not a bad pickup, so just a different type of trade. From here, we'll see the game going kind of slow. Once again, this is kind of playing into C9's hands. Again, they're still in the lead. They've got the turrets. They're doing well. They're still stronger right now, and they're going to keep doing this and go for another dragon. Alliance, they haven't used their siege and poke composition to kind of put the pressure onto C9, which they really should have done, but they also aren't losing out in the fights. They haven't given away kills to Cloud9. They haven't allowed Cloud9 to snowball as hard as they really need to. What this does mean is that Alliance can start to scale up. Maybe around the 30-35 minute mark, they'll start to get stronger, especially on Kog'Maw and Xerath. Kayle will be able to become on par with Rumble if by this point they can get Aegis on either Nami or Elise. They should start to be able to take more control of this match and start fighting at objectives like Baron and Dragon, rather than having to let them go to C9. So here we'll wait for the third dragon, and Alliance, I don't remember exactly what Alliance do if they let this go, but we do see C9 prepping for it. They've got wards in the blue side jungle of Alliance. They've got all their teammates in the area. Rumble's already here, doesn't need to wait for a teleport to get to his ultimate. So in the meantime, they're just kind of putting the pressure onto Alliance's side, keeping them back at the turret until Dragon spawns, so they have a much easier time of taking it. And we do see them moving through. They have all the vision in Alliance's side of the blue side jungle, so there's no surprise coming in, whereas Alliance are having to walk into a blind area if they decide to even fight for this dragon. Appropriately, since they don't have vision control, they do not. They go and they trade mid turret, which is great, and they escape. The one problem that this does do is it gives C9 position on the mid turret of Alliance. Well, luckily for Alliance side, there's no wave, so C9 can't make good use of it. But they do get position, and Alliance escape properly going up through the top side. If C9 want, they could tank this turret and do some damage, and I don't remember if that's quite what they do, but it is an option for them. They could probably kill this before Alliance gets back. They do wait for the wave and are able to get some damage. And it's just basically very good rotational play by both. I don't like that this is the second time Nami has used her ultimate offensively. I would really prefer her to be saving her ultimate to protect the team from Rumble's engagement. It's probably C9's strongest option, so Nami should be saving her ultimate to stop that. With Nami ultimate down, with Kayle intervention having been used to save the target from Syndra's ultimate, Cloud9 used Rumble's ultimate to push Alliance off the turret this time. Say Nami's ultimate was still up when Rumble used his, Nami could have thrown hers out, Alliance would have still been able to protect and defend the turret. So we're getting to the point where Alliance are going to start to catch up to C9's team. It's going to take another 5 to 8 minutes for them to catch up, maybe another 10 to 15 before they start to actually outscale. Their very weak point, though, is in this Elise. Once again, her items are still all over the place. Like, again, Kindle Gem, Sightstone, Merc Treads, Glacial Shroud, Spirit Stone. She still hasn't finished her jungle item. She hasn't completed anything other than boots. It's just a real weak point for Alliance right now, and just kind of unfortunate that Shook built this way. On Alliance's side, we do see Gianna starting to work towards that Aegis. It's going to be very strong for their team. I wish she would have waited on finishing the Frost Queen's claim. She probably could have had her Aegis by now if she hadn't spent the money on that. It's a much stronger buy and pickup. C9 don't need the slow so much. Alliance don't really have an engaged team, and the active slow from Frost Queen's claim is not going to allow C9 to engage either, so it doesn't offer much here. So all C9 need to do is continue what they've been doing. Bully Alliance, look for opportunities to take turrets, rotate through jungle, and wait for objectives. Like I said, they've been controlling Dragon well. They've taken good opportunities to take turrets, even sometimes with trades. They've generated a nice 3,000 gold lead, and it's what they need to keep up with their composition. What I would suggest right now for them is start to take control of Baron Vision, move through the jungle of Alliance, try and draw them into a fight where you can really use Rumble's ultimate to massive effect. Take out Alliance's vision, and be prepared to look for an opportunity to take Baron. And this is just sort of vision starve is what that's called. It's a big way for teams who don't have engagements like Cloud9 to draw out the opposing team into situations where they're in vulnerable spots. And just like that, we see Syndra getting a stun. It's another big thing you can do when you're causing vision control. You're just looking for opportunities to catch out the other team in positional and rotational mistakes. And this is how Cloud9 are going to take Baron and close out the game. They're not looking to kill Alliance's team in the jungle right now. They're just looking to get a Baron opportunity. And eventually they will find it. It does take several minutes, but this is one thing I think about. You have to dedicate yourself to a strategy. And like with the Siege Pocomp, where you would dedicate yourself to pushing a turret for a good 3 to 4 minutes, maybe even 5 or 6 if you needed to, C9 are dedicating themselves with their team fight prowess, with the strength that they have from their mid-game power and their gold lead. They're dedicating themselves to this Baron control, to this dance, waiting for an opportunity to force Alliance's hand. And we end up getting it right here. We get a good Rumble ult, we get a good Syndra ult, they get the pick, they get tons of damage down onto Alliance. And this is the opportunity C9 were looking for. They didn't need a kill. Although it would have been nice, they just needed the opportunity to get Alliance low. The moment they get Alliance low, we have half health. We had half health bars on 3 people. Elise had a quarter. Elise was forced back, and now C9 run in and take Baron. Xerath gets a little too aggressive. I'm not sure why he's going in from the bottom side instead of just going in from the top side and using his range to his advantage. Seems kind of a bit of a positional misplay for him to even be in a situation to be caught by Syndra's stun in the river. So Alliance are now on the back foot. Xerath is dead. It's a good portion of their wave clear. C9 will be looking to take this mid inhibitor. We know a lot of the ultimates are down from Alliance's side. Highs is up again. So this is all the pressure, and they're recognizing their power advantage, not just with Baron, but with the man up and with the ultimates. And so now we see Cloud9 have taken a very clear lead in the game. They have almost 7,000 gold. They're going to go get Dragon and pump this up to 8,000 gold lead. They've taken the mid inhibitor. They've essentially waited and forced their opportunity. And if you remember back to the group stages and A and B, I'm trying to remember correctly who it was. I think it was EDG. I think it was EDG, or maybe it was TPA. I don't remember the game exactly. But there was a situation where, or maybe it was HQ versus EDG in their first match. Anyways, the point is the team who was in the lead, who had the mid-game power potential, who needed to make the plays to prevent the other team from scaling, they didn't do the Baron dance properly. They didn't dedicate themselves to it for a long portion of time. They were only looking to clear vision maybe 1 minute at a time, 2 minutes at a time. They never took full control of the topside jungle. And because they didn't dedicate themselves to it for an extended period of time, they were never able to find the opportunity to take Baron or to take the fight to the other team. And that's what Cloud9 does really well and right in this situation, is they dedicate themselves to the Baron dance for a good 4, 5, 6 minutes. Even if you look at the warding, there are 4 pink wards out there. Well, they have 4 sweepers on Cloud9's side. So they really put their resources their gold resources and their time resources into this situation, and it paid off. This is a way to perform that siege break that they were having trouble getting into Alliance's side. Now, with the gold advantage, with the Baron advantage, and with the mid inhibitor down, this will allow them to take turrets on the outside to push another inhibitor. This is the window of opportunity that they needed. And it comes at a great time. This is when Alliance were about to start catching back up into this game in terms of teamfight potential. And getting that Baron really extended it. Now, instead of being able to fight on even footing at the 30-minute mark, 35-minute mark, it's going to take about 40-45 minutes for Alliance to start to catch up again to C9's side. And this gives C9 a lot of power, especially at this death turret. We all know how hard it is to defend, especially against a team with Baron who can take the poke that Alliance have to put out and regen from it. So Cloud9 are just properly playing this way. We also see 4 Negatron cloaks on top of the Aegis on Cloud9's side. And this is also really strong against Alliance's team. It's proper item buying. Get that defensive item as the 3rd or 4th pickup. Sometimes what you need is that defense so you can siege. Once again, C9 used Rumble Ultimate not as a kill potential, not as something for kill or even team fight control. They're rather using it for objective control. They're throwing out the Rumble Ultimate to push Alliance off the turret so that they can take the turret. And now, all of a sudden, Alliance can no longer keep up the defense. Without that turret there to protect them, C9 are the stronger team. So this is an instance of using ultimates for turret control, for objective control, rather than using them for kill potential. And once again, pointing out from before where I was talking about low kill scores, C9 took their first inhibitor and a score of 2-1. The second inhibitor, the score is 3-1. But look at the turrets, it's 8-3. C9 have gotten 4 dragons and a Baron. Now with the bottom inhibitor down, with Baron spawning in the next 2 minutes, Alliance really don't have an opportunity to come back and make a play at this next Baron. Cloud9 will be able to wait out Baron again, go get vision control, let the bottom wave push in with the super creeps, and then take Baron while Alliance are defending. So as C9 slowly close out this game and do it very methodically and properly, what could Alliance have done? Like I said before, Alliance needed to move into their siege poke composition early. We all know that if siege poke compositions don't get going, they fall pretty hard, and Alliance has fallen pretty hard. The other reason why they should have started early is because their team does scale better. The longer they can draw out the game, the better for their team. So any time that they spend attacking C9's turrets is time that C9 are not pushing Alliance's own objectives. And this is a way for siege poke compositions to draw out the game. I really wish they would have traded better in the 2v1 swap. They could have taken bottom turret and dragon and then moved up top to take top turret with Kog'Maw Nami. And then they may have been able to do this even before the second dragon spawned, allowing them to come back and fight with a gold advantage at this dragon where C9 have good power. Got out good wards, poked from range. Even if they weren't able to take the dragon or stop C9 from doing the dragon, Xerath and Kog'Maw poke may have been enough to get C9 low that Alliance could then move and take the middle turret after dragon's down. And these were the options that Alliance had. They really also should have gotten an Aegis. This Elise is built all over the board and nothing's really coming together for her. So it's just a little bit poor play. Perhaps if they had had an Aegis when that Baron fight happened, they would have taken a lot less damage from Syndra ultimate, from Rumble ultimate, and maybe Elise wouldn't have needed to run back to base to heal and could have been there to contest Baron. Once again, we see that C9, they return to this jungle control in the top jungle, looking for the Baron. Alliance kind of just let things go by not even defending their bot lane, and C9 find the opportunity with the gold advantage, with the vision advantage, to win a fight, and then have Rumble teleport into the Alliance's base to take the win. So that is this match, and I really want to stress, if you take anything from this match, take being very careful about how you play lane swaps. C9 played it properly. Not only were they looking at the level 1 up to the first 4 minutes, they were looking ahead to the second dragon at 10 minutes. They had a plan for this lane swap, whereas Alliance didn't. If Alliance had a better plan, they could have taken more advantages, could have tried to deny C9 their second dragon, could have prevented C9 from generating that small lead that they were able to keep control over the game. If Alliance had the gold lead, they would have been able to be much stronger with their siege and poke. Probably could have controlled the game, prevented that whole Baron fiasco. The other thing to take away is really pay attention to C9's Baron control, how they forced Alliance into a bad situation. This is really paramount for certain types of teams to take control of the game. Cloud9's team were not very good at sieging. They were more of a fight teams looking for Baron and Dragon objectives and looking for fights in the jungle. And they found a way to force these. So this is how important Baron vision control can be for certain compositions. So that's the game. I hope it was informative. I hope it was entertaining, if not. And I hope you got something out of it. Once again, the notes for this match can be found below, as well as a link to my 2014 League of Legends World Championship video analysis and notes portal page. I'm Keith, aka LoLByTheNumbers, and thanks for watching.